Playground!
Hooray!
This is the Deron Harris Podcast. Here's your host, Deron Harris.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the show. I'm Deron Harris. This is my podcast. Thank you for joining me this week. I do appreciate it, as I always do. You guys are the greatest. You really are. And I think I got one hell of a podcast for you today. Now, I've talked about this subject before, but I think that it is probably more relevant now than it was when I did the podcast. And I think that you're going to want to listen to this one all the way through because, man, it's a really heavy podcast. And I'm talking about what if, and like I said, I've done this podcast before, but what if all the black Americans in this country, every single one of us, what if we all did go back to Africa? What would happen if we went back to Africa? And I'm going to talk about that, and we're going to go all the way through that. But first, I want to check, like I always do every single week, on everybody's mental health out there. Now, and I do realize, and one of the reasons I am talking about this subject today is because of what's been going on politically in our country. So I want to make sure that everybody's mental health is good, because there are some things that I can really understand that are weighing in on a lot of people. I mean, me particularly, I suffer from anxiety and depression. I suffer from major depressive disorder. And now I'm hearing that RFK wants to investigate, maybe eliminate antidepressants. And I take an antidepressant. And it helps me. And if they eliminate it, then what is that going to do for my condition? So I am indeed worried about that. But it's not going to stop me from going out and seeking therapy. It's not going to stop me from going out and seeking actual help. But it does weigh on me mentally. But I'm encouraging everybody out there who is having issues mentally to step out. There's more than enough people, plenty of people out there that want to help you. So don't make an excuse to not go or not be involved or not get help, because it is out there for you. And I 100% encourage it. Okay. So like I was saying, today, talk about what would happen if black Americans decided that we were going to go back to Africa. Now, I'm not suggesting that we just pack the fuck up and go. Although I'm suggesting that we just pack the fuck up and go. Because, I mean, after sitting here and doing this research, I think that, man, it almost might be a better move. You know, a better move for black Americans, a black America and Africa. At the end of the day, I think it would be a much better path forward for us. I mean, I love my country. I was born here in America, but they want to take birthright citizenship away, and I'll get into that also, because that has a lot to do with it as well. But it's also them shooting themselves in the fucking foot, and I'll get into that later. But right now, you know, that's very threatening. You know, because although it's aimed at Hispanics, it really does affect the African American population here in this country as well. Because we were not initially citizens. The 14th Amendment granted us citizenship after the Civil War. So if they go back and they, I guess, reimagine it, then that leaves the door wide open for them to challenge our citizenship to this country, even though we were brought here against our will. So, but I do have some positive things, and it's really heavy. I mean, it really is a heavy thing to do. It's going to be a lot of heavy lifting, but if we did return to Africa, the effects of this would be massive on many fronts, like from the economic front, the political front, culturally, the whole thing, man. I mean, it really does seem like a win. The more I sit here and look at it, and I know a lot of people are going to listen to this podcast and see the post. Yeah, you go back to Africa, take your great, yeah. I'm not mad at that anymore. I'm not mad at somebody saying, go back to Africa. You know why? Because America's shitty. It just is. America is a shitty place, folks. And like it or not, whether we want to believe it or not, we all helped it get there. You know, we helped America become this shitty place. And just FYI, for any MAGA that might be listening out, America is never going to be great. Never. Not one day is it ever going to be great here for you or anybody else that comes here. And that's because the way that this place was created, it tainted that from the beginning. Okay? And all the meritocracy, all of those sentiments that they kind of push on everybody, that argument goes out of the window also because they didn't do anything. The only thing they did was lie. They lied, they brutalized people, but they didn't build anything here. We built everything. I mean, everything. I mean, pretty much. Minorities I'm speaking on. Minorities, not just black people, but minorities in general. They've spent a great amount of time building this motherfucker. And that's one thing that they never want to give credit for. They sit and they claim or proclaim that they built this great society, but in actuality, they really didn't build anything. What they did is I take that back. They built systems, but they built systems to keep them in power and to deceive others, deceive and disenfranchise other people. That's not great. That's not great by any stretch of the imagination, especially if these people are on the same rock as you. We're on the same fucking rock. How is shit going to be great for you and it ain't great for me? Because I'm going to tell you what, if it ain't great for me, you can rest assured that I'm not making shit great for you. For real. So it's not going to be great for nobody, all right? Never, ever, ever will this place be great. As long as y'all feel it necessary to shit on other people, it's not going to be great here. The only thing that makes places great is people being unified, collectively understanding that mutual respect really does further progress, really does benefit the world. But they don't see it like that. They see the world as a place for them to dominate. And fuck that. You feel me with that, folks? Fuck that. Who the fuck is you to try to dominate somebody? And the thing about it is, you really don't dominate. You dominate in certain places, but the only reason you dominate is because you make bullshit policy to help you. To help you and hurt others. So how is that getting something based on your own merit if you have to rig things in order for you to succeed? Rig things in order for you to advance further. But then you want to stand up on a podium and proclaim that you're superior. The fuck out of here. So the fact that these people, and it's not all, and I'm not saying it's everybody, but the people I'm talking about, they know who the fuck they are. They know right who the fuck they are. And the people that, you know who you are. You know I'm not talking about you because you know how you walk around. You know. But some of y'all, you know I'm talking directly fucking to you. I'm talking right at you. And those are, the big proponents of, go back to Africa. Ship all the immigrants away. They believe shit. They're eating the cats and dogs. They believe all that shit. And the reason why is because they fucking hate people. When really, they should just be hating them fucking selves. They really should. They should just hate yourself. Just fucking turn around and fucking hate yourself because you are a piss poor human. You motherfuckers are piss poor. Anybody who can stand up and proclaim that they're better than anybody when they haven't done fucking shit but lie and deceive and cheat and steal and exploit, anybody who can do that and say that they're the best, y'all can lick a ass. As a matter of fact, you can lick a whole row of asses. You could just lick some ass forever. Lick ass. That's what you should be doing anyway, is licking ass. And that's what the fuck you guys are trying to you're trying to project this bigger than life persona to people, and that shit is stupid because you motherfuckers ain't really shit. At the end of the day, you like everybody else. You're not fucking special at all. You motherfuckers talk about you superior. Get the fuck out of here, man. Get the fuck out of here. The best players in the sports that you motherfuckers love are black. You ain't fucking shit. You have to do shit like contaminate our food and not give us proper health services in order to fucking get the fuck out of here, man. I'm sick of this narrative. So, like I said, these are the large people that are the proponents of go back to Africa. Okay, great. So this is some positive shit. Okay? Since they think it would be positive for us to go, this is some positive shit that would happen if we went back to fucking Africa. You know what I'm saying? So I sat down and I asked ChatGPT some questions, and we had a fucking conversation about it. And man, you know, it almost makes sense to fucking do it. It almost makes sense to go, you know what? I love playing in the NFL, but you know what, though? All that shit is going to fucking collapse if we leave. All that shit is going to go by the wayside. You think motherfuckers going to watch these motherfuckers run up and down the fucking field for 3 hours? No. You think you're going to? No, you're not going to watch these motherfuckers play that shit. No. It's going to get boring. It's going to get repetitious. So the first thing that would happen is we would have Africa. There would be this massive economic boost to Africa. Like if all of us with all of our skills, I mean millions of us. There's 42 million black Americans. If all 42 million black Americans, you know, and like took our expertise, our education, our business minds, everything in Africa would shift immediately. It would immediately accelerate their economic development in many different African nations, not just like a few, like a bunch. I mean, people would turn around and start looking at Africa like, oh shit, Africa, look at you. I mean, they're already starting to do it now. But if 42 million of us went, do you understand how quickly Africa would grow economically? I mean, not even that, politically and socially. I mean, all kinds of shit. The tech industries would grow because a lot of us we're involved in STEM. Like we have we are like entrepreneurs. We are fucking probably the best entertainers to ever do it. You know, our expertise mixed with, you know, their culture also. I mean, we could create a global tech and innovation powerhouse that nobody can fuck with. That nobody could fuck with. They could try. But it would. But I don't think anybody could fuck with it. You know what I'm saying? And again, like I said, the political shift is fucking significant. Black Americans, we are majorly like Democrats. You know what I'm saying? We could definitely use what we use in our political endeavors here to take over there to show them many countries the democratic policies, or not necessarily policies, but the democratic way of life, a democracy. We could help many African countries move towards a sustainable democracy. You know what I'm saying? a lot of social activism. We could turn Africa out, y'all. Even in the government in some of these African countries would immediately benefit from the political power that Black Americans, or the political knowledge that Black Americans have acquired here in this country. I've said this before. There would definitely be a renaissance, with Black people around the world, man, because if Africans and Black Americans, if we could create like this new cultural movement, like in music, in like fashion, anything that we write, anything, we could really dominate popular culture. For real. Let's just take a look at some of this stuff. Many of us are already pop culture icons. You know what I'm saying? Many of us. But it would be more on a global scale if we were to take our skills and merge them with the skills of the Africans, of the blacks, the Black people in Africa. It would be nothing that anyone could do. We could bring, so much stuff, increased global influence for Africa immediately because Black Americans are extremely high profile. You know what I'm saying? Know what I'm saying. Our global standing, or the African global standing, would definitely rise, and it would be more of a many of the countries would be more powerful players in like the geopolitical forum. We would be able to compete with Western countries instead of them looking down on African countries as places that are uneducated or are full of people that are not as I don't know, advanced or evolved even as they are, as they would put it. But that's bullshit. And we know it's bullshit. But we have a problem here in this country, and the problem is our inability to detach from what's going on here in this country. We have become comfortable. We've grown comfortable here, and so comfortable that we still allow them to take advantage of us just because it's comfortable. We have an opportunity to make a little bit of money. Nobody messes with us. I don't have to, see nobody. Ain't nobody fucking with me. Don't come over here around me and my people. We have formed this hostile attitude towards each other, and that is preventing us from becoming the best people that we can be, the best community that we can be globally. Because these people have made it a business. It has become huge business to keep us destabilized and not, I want to say, separated. I was going to say ununited, but separated is actually the word. It's business for them. It's business because, and that's why, like, I have so much admiration right now, and I don't really know a whole lot about the guy. I know some about Ibrahim Traoré, the president of Burkina Faso in Africa, because that motherfucker told France to get the fuck out. Get the fuck out. All the way out. And this is not your gold. This is our gold. Get the fuck out. This belongs to us. And now that country, I just read, is doing something that it hasn't been able to do because they were not able to do it because the French government did not allow them. Just like our government doesn't allow certain countries and certain places to grow their own crops. For the first time, and I'm not sure how long, Burkina Faso has now started to grow wheat, which is now going to feed their people and make them less reliant on colonial powers and more self-sufficient, which is what we need to be doing. This man didn't ask permission. He went up and he took his country back. I'm going to take a quick, fast break, and we're going to continue with number 6, infrastructure and development. I'll be right back. This is Deron Harris Podcast.
The podcast playground. Hooray!
Hey y'all, what's up? Welcome back to the show. I'm talking about moving back to Africa and what the fuck would happen to America if we did? What if we did? What the fuck would happen here? What would these motherfuckers go through? Well, first I'm going through some positive things that would happen if we moved back to Africa. Number 6, as I was stating before, it was infrastructure development. Infrastructure development, okay? Africa, for a long time, their infrastructure has been neglected. And the reason why is because they have historically wanted to keep us down. But if we, Black Americans, all 42 million of us, with our skills in engineering, et cetera, were to go over to Africa, we could, definitely we would bring capital investments. We would definitely bring money to Africa. But more than that, we would provide a demand for improved roads, transportation, energy grids, all kinds of things. All these things would begin to see a rapid repair or growth in order to help the countries in Africa, because there's plenty of them, the countries in Africa to become more industrialized or more modern. There are places out in Africa that just don't have shit, period. And other places in Africa that have everything because they've been modernized or industrialized or, whatever it was. But they have much more to gain and much more to learn from the Black American diaspora, because we, Black Americans, we are the most educated group of Black people on the planet. So for us to take our education for everything to Africa instantly levels Africa up. Instantly makes Africa a stronger continent, which leads me to number 7. Stronger African currency and trade would increase. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on now. Come on, Africa. Africa got resources. You know what I'm saying? Africa has plenty of resources. They have gold, silver, diamond, cobalt. Hold on, wait a minute. Let's just get to every goddamn thing. The currencies in Africa should already be at a level where they can compete with the currencies in other westernized countries. But the reason they can't is because of colonization. These people have come over and taken the resources, and they've made those people that are indigenous to that place, they've made those people work for pretty much nothing to extract those resources, to ship them abroad so that they can be wealthy, so that we can all have cameras and computers and cell phones and speakers and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But if Black Americans were to go over there, you think that shit would, no, motherfucker, no, because we don't play that shit. No, in short order, they would start learning not to play that shit with these motherfuckers either. We don't play that shit. No, man, no. That shit means no. You know what I'm saying? And then motherfuckers would have no choice but to trade with us. If this is the shit you want, then guess who the fuck you got to talk to? Oh, man, we got to go over here and talk to these niggas? Yeah, you got to come over here and talk to these niggas. That's it. And that's the way that it should have always been. You follow me? That is the way that it should have always been, and that's the way that it needs to go back to. And if Black Americans went back to Africa, it would make Africans' resolve that much more powerful. Because I don't know if you motherfuckers missed it, but we don't play that shit. Black Americans, we just don't play that shit. You come in my face with some bullshit, especially these days. Now, I don't know, back in the day, it used to be different, but today, fuck you. How about that? Fuck you. And what the fuck you gonna do about it? What the fuck you gonna say about it? Because you notice, I always notice this. Motherfuckers don't say shit to Black people, okay? They don't say a motherfucking thing to Black people. Especially like, if you see a Black man out, he's in good shape, da-da-da, look good, motherfuckers don't say. They might say that shit under their fucking breath. But 1, 2, they don't say shit. If it's 2 of them, they don't say shit. And the reason why is because they know they'll get their ass tuned the fuck up. It's always got to be a group. It's always got to be a group of them. When it's a group of them is when they get hostile. When it's a group of them is when they feel emboldened. When it's a group of them, that's when they feel that they can just turn around, say what the fuck they want, behave how they want towards black people, and there will be no repercussions because this country has always been set up to benefit them and make me look like the motherfucking villain. And that's the way it has always been. But now, we don't play that shit. Black men are much more intelligent than that now. Yeah, we still got some of us out here in the fucking hood, but black men, we trying to do other shit now. Motherfuckers is trying to become real estate developers and, entrepreneurs and all kind of other shit. Motherfuckers is trying to do different shit now. Motherfuckers is in shape. Motherfuckers starting to realize that y'all been poisoning our food. And they starting to tell us, they're starting to get back on the bandwagon of eating better food. I am one of them, even though I had some pizza from Pizza Hut last night. My wife and I decided that we were going to have a little bit of a celebration. But for nothing, we were just celebrating fucking Thursday night, but not wanting to cook anything. But anyway, that's some of the shit would happen. Number 8, which is great for me, it would be for us, and it's so important for us. There would be no racism, man. The racism would go the fuck away. It would just end systemic racism for us black Americans because we still face it daily. We still face it in every single avenue that we travel, every single outlet that we face some racism. I was a restaurant manager for many years, consultant for many years. And I cannot tell you how many times that I've lost out to jobs to less qualified, all-American types, less qualified, just non-melanated, blonde hair and blue eyes. Because they thought that these people would do a much better job than me. And turns out, and one thing that I loved is I always find validation. There's always validation behind that because what ends up happening, and people some play they call it the curse of Deron Harris, because it's almost like every place that either doesn't hire me, I've been let go of or fired, has either closed, sold, or asked me to come back. And that happens on a regular basis. And in fact, it still happens. People call me, hey, man, what are you doing? You want to come back? No, I don't. I'm done. I'm finished. And why I'm finished is because I've made a promise to myself, because even though I love the hospitality industry, I will never do that business again. I will never join that business again unless I can do it for myself, because I'm tired of doing it for people who do not appreciate me. I'm tired of doing it for people who have sold me out to put one of them ahead, who have underpaid me, and exploited my loyalty. I'm never going to do that again for not just the hospitality industry, but any industry that is set up like that. And there's so many companies out here that don't hire us because of that just that. They don't think that we're capable of doing the job. Even though my resume speaks volumes, they can't believe it. It's almost like they can't believe it. I had one person, people don't call really and check references anymore. I had one person call and check every single reference I had, every single one. And on my resumes, I put my references. I don't put references available upon request. I put them on there anyway. So you can call. I encourage any and all people to call my references. And one guy called all my references, and he called me back in for my second interview. He didn't hire me, but he called me in there basically to ask me how I was able to acquire all this knowledge. I told him the exact same way that you acquired the knowledge that you did. And he didn't like that very much, which I didn't care, because at that point, I had decided that I don't want this fucking job anyway. Fuck this guy. Because I know I got a job one time when I think I was 20 years old. I got a job at Chili's. And I applied to be a waiter. That's what I applied to be, was a waiter. So the guy that hired me said, okay, you can be a waiter after like 3 months, but you got to do 3 months of dishwashing and bussing tables. I said, okay. So I went in there because Chili's at the time was, it was a big restaurant. Everybody wanted to work there, and I wanted to work there. So I went in and I washed dishes and I bussed tables for 3 months. But in that 3-month period, I watched this guy hire, girls, white guys, and put them out on the floor almost immediately, while other black people that got hired somehow miraculously ended up in the dish pit with me. So I went back to the guy and I said, "Hey man, I applied to be, a server." There. Oh yeah, it's coming. We had to hire some other guys, but it's coming. And I waited, another few weeks, and what happened is he fired me. And he told me, he said, "I'm sorry, I got to let you go. We just need somebody who washes dishes a little bit faster than you do." And I told him, and I screamed it in his face. I said, "I applied to be a fucking server, not a dishwasher." He said, "Well, our policy," I said, "Your policy is bullshit because that guy right there, he came after me and he's on the floor. He's been on the floor 3 weeks. And I'm still back here washing dishes." He couldn't say anything. But at the time, I'm young. I didn't know anything about discrimination suits and any of that stuff. And I just got mad and heated and felt defeated and walked out. I was so discouraged it hurt that somebody could actually do that. And that's when I decided for myself that I'm not going to work at corporate places anymore. But that extends well past, corporations and into other privately owned entities. So it really is, trying to find somebody with a strong character. So what else would happen would be Pan-African unity. It would be much stronger than it is now. The connections between, us and them, it would create a united front in global politics. You know what I'm saying? Us advocating for us, them advocating for us, but us advocating for all black people. You know what I'm saying? And there's plenty more positive things, but one of the things I have written down is a self-sufficient black economy would happen. Black Americans, us, if we went over there and were fully able to control our own wealth, our own banks, our own industries, without any of their governance or any of them overseeing what we're doing, this would totally build a fully independent economy where we really wouldn't need the Western world. We wouldn't need you. We wouldn't need you. And that is something that they are they are afraid of. They are afraid for us to not need them. And that's the truth. And if they're telling you that it's not, they're a motherfucking lie. They need us. They say they don't, but they motherfucking do. I'm going to take another break. And when I come back, we're going to keep peeling the layers of this onion back, y'all. This is the Deron Harris Podcast. Be right back. Hey, y'all, welcome back to the program. I'm talking about if we went back to Africa, what would happen to the United States, and in a nutshell, what would happen to the world? What would happen in the world if all black Americans went back to Africa? Well, the global economy would shift, with Africa becoming a rising superpower as America experiences a decline in multiple industries. International corporations would rush to Africa to capitalize on new market and labor force. The cultural influence of black America, music, fashion, sports, and entertainment would move with them, reshaping global media and arts. Countries reliant on African-American labor, such as China, with benefits from African-American sports and entertainment, would have to adjust. Hear that? China, too. The U.S. could lose its global influence as one of its most culturally and economically significant populations would be gone. So that's what would happen to the world. But more importantly, I thought about how America would be crippled if we weren't here, if we all just decided to go back. Well, the economic collapse in many sectors is what the fuck would happen. Black America's, because we contribute 1.7 trillion to the economy. You know what I'm saying? It would fuck this place up. Industries like entertainment and fashion and beauty and sports, they would all feel the fucking effects of it. They would all feel like, holy shit, we should have been nicer to fucking black people. Another thing that would happen would be the loss of innovation and workforce. Here in the country, in the United States, would lose a lot of doctors, like a lot of the workforce. We are in the workforce. We work, but see, one thing they're trying to do, they're trying to push us out of the workforce. But I'm gonna tie all this up to how this is gonna fuck everybody. This is gonna fuck everybody up, man. I'm gonna tell you what. Another thing that would happen is the decline of military strength. You know why? Because we are in the fucking military too. A lot of us. And our departure wouldn't only weaken that shit here, but all over the fucking world. Okay? There would another thing that would be, there would be a cultural void, like hip hop, jazz, R&B, and other black-led cultural movements would disappear. Because think about it, y'all. The reason that there are white rappers is because that there are black rappers. Okay? The reason that there are white jazz artists is because there were first black jazz artists. The reason why that there were black white R&B artists, or even rock and roll artists, or even country artists, is because black people came up with all of that shit. And if we took all that shit and left and went back to fucking Africa, do you realize how hard it would be for motherfuckers to come up with shit here? It would be hard. It would be difficult because they wouldn't have us anymore to look to exploit. They'd have to come up with things on their own merit. See how that works? Oh, yeah, this is my favorite right here. The collapse of major sports leagues. Everything, the NFL, the NBA, everybody would be fucked. Everything. Hockey would be the new motherfucking national sport. It would have to be. It would have to be. It would have to be because many of the top athletes in all of these sports are black people. Why the fuck do you think y'all watch football in the first place? Huh? Why the fuck do you think that you cheer for football in the motherfucking first place? But you hate it. You hate that. You hate the fact that once this motherfucker pulls off this jersey and these shoulder pads and these helmets, this man right here goes right back to being one of them niggas. That's what the fuck it is. And that's why we need to stop playing for you motherfuckers. If you out there and you're a professional athlete and you listen to my podcast, think about this, man. Fuck them. Okay? All of these racist sports team owners, I wouldn't play another fucking day for these people. Fuck them. Let these motherfuckers go the way of the fucking dodo. What do you think would happen? What do you think would happen next football season if all the black players decided, fuck that? This dude still own the team? I ain't playing. You in the contract? Well, fuck the contract. How about that? All of us ain't playing. Well, you all know the fuck we don't because we moving back to Africa. You can kiss my ass. The fuck do you think they would do? This shit would explode. These motherfuckers would be like, oh my God, we got to do something. We got to do something. We can't not have football. They would try as hard as they could at first to have football. It would suck ass. Football would suck. It would suck booty hole. Okay? First. You know, it'd be a bunch of fucking field goals is what the fuck it would be. But it would suck. And they can't say that it wouldn't. As much as they think like would like to think that it wouldn't, it would completely be terrible. There would be a political upheaval. That would be another good one that I like. Political upheaval. I like that word, upheaval. Many progressive policies have been driven by black political engagement. And our absence could lead to an extreme conservative shift. That means these MAGA motherfuckers would be running this place. Be all over the place. Be all over the place. Be MAGA fucking America. That's what it would be. And they think that shit would be so great. But I'm going to flip this bitch around. I'm going to flip this motherfucker over, and they going to understand that they fucked themselves. They really have been fucking themselves. And if they have their way, they're going to continue to fuck themselves. They're just fucking themselves. I mean, as much as they think that this would be great, because they don't think with their brains. They think with hate. That's the difference. They think with hatred. They don't think with their brains. They don't think that if they got rid of us, that their society would suffer. And boy, are they fucking wrong. I mean, for real, there would be less urban centers. Cities like Chicago, Atlanta, and Detroit would lose population, leading to economic collapse in those areas. Now, I know a lot of them think, oh, that'd be great because we'll just go in there and buy the property up and, but who the fuck is going to rent them? Not us. Not fucking us. Not us. They would be giant ghost towns across the United States. Another thing would happen would be the United States would lose its global influence, or a lot of it. You would lose your fucking status here as a cultural powerhouse. You just would. You just would, because there would be no fucking culture. And people don't understand that there would be no real culture here without minorities, without other races. Motherfuckers don't get that. Why the fuck do you think you like Mexican food? Huh? Because there was another culture that came here and shared their food with us. Or with you. You know what I'm saying? But I see you motherfuckers up here in your MAGA hats and your giant trucks and your boots, and you motherfuckers fill up the little Mexican restaurant every fucking day. Fill it up. Love Mexican food. Hate Mexican people. Just fucking sums it up in a nutshell about you motherfuckers. Want everything, but fuck the people who produce it. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. With a burrito and a fucking egg roll. I mean, I really think it should be like that. If you voted for MAGA, I think you should be declined at Mexican restaurants. I think that you should never be able to eat Mexican food again or Chinese food. I think that you should shit out your last egg roll and never eat that shit again. You should be banned from eating soul food. If you don't like black people, you should be banned from that shit. Eat some fucking boiled chicken or whatever the fuck it is you fucking eat. Because everything that you got from somewhere else. But you don't want to admit that. You don't want to stand up in that. But today, I'm going to make you. Oh, yeah, racial tensions would implode. Without black Americans, white Americans would have to confront their own issues instead of scapegoating black people. How about that? That's where your problems start, And that's the thing. Your problem was never with us. Your problem has always been with yourselves. It's always been internal. You just project it onto us. And the mass exodus of businesses. Black entrepreneurs and professionals would take their wealth and businesses overseas, thus saying, fuck you. Huh. Imagine that. Imagine that. And now I'm going to tell you how white America would be affected. All right? You ready for it? More importantly, white America, are you ready for it? Are you ready for what you wanting black people to move back to Africa? Are you ready to deal with what the fuck the consequences of that are? And the more I sit here and think about it, no, you're fucking not. You're not prepared for us to leave here. You are not prepared. And the reason why, number one, is the loss of black labor and consumer spending. Many industries rely on black workers and black consumers. from service jobs to high-end markets. You rely on us. You rely on us. Number 2, the loss of cultural relevance. Without black culture, America's global soft power in music, fashion, and entertainment would collapse. You get me? Number 3, guilt and identity crisis. White Americans would be forced to reckon with their own history and find a new scapegoat for societal issues. Number 4, the collapse of affirmative action and DEI programs. These initiatives would become irrelevant, leading to hiring gaps in certain industries because some of you motherfuckers are incompetent. A lot of you are. A lot of you are. You just got a handout like you claim everybody else got. Decline in the medical industry. Many black professionals work in healthcare. Their departure would leave major gaps. There's a lot of black nurses. There's a lot of black ladies who take care of you motherfuckers. What if they left? What the fuck if they left? The real estate market would collapse. No. Yes. Many black-owned properties would be abandoned or sold off cheaply, destabilizing the market. Idiots. Crime would still exist. Without black people, crime wouldn't magically disappear, forcing white Americans to confront their internal issues again. Political shifts. Some liberal white voters who rely on black voters would lose influence, while conservatives might face unintended consequences. Military instability. A major loss of black soldiers and officers would weaken the United States Armed Forces. So I don't give a fuck how strong you think you are. Without us, you are nothing. Get that through your motherfucking heads. Without us, this bitch is just a fucking rock. There would be religious and social shifts. Black churches and religious organizations, which play a significant role in American society, would disappear. Yeah, man, you guys are fucking yourselves. The loss of our creativity. Your cultural dominance would vanish here. Economic decline. Your sports industry would collapse. The unemployment rate would be fucking through the roof. Fucking decline in political influence. Military weakness. Healthcare and crisis around this bitch like it already is. It'd get worse. Without us, the tech business would fucking suffer. An increased internal division. Because without us to scapegoat, you motherfuckers will turn on each other. That's the truth. You'll turn right on each other. Thought about your boy Trump also, his bullshit. What would happen to the Trump administration if black Americans left? You guys would lose the scapegoat that you've been scapegoating. Trump's political messaging often revolves around race baiting. Without black people, he'd have to find a new enemy. That's the fucking truth. It'd be the collapse of his propaganda, all that MAGA bullshit. All you conservatives that thrive on like racial division. Without black people, your movement loses its fuel. Economic downturn. Many Trump supporters rely on industries that benefit from black labor and spending. That's the fucking truth. All you motherfuckers that hate us, you work at places that we fucking support. If we stop supporting you, you're fucked. Do you get that? Do you get that? No, but that's fine. Let's continue. Military instability again. And no more election fraud lies. He couldn't blame black voters in cities like Detroit, Atlanta for his losses. He couldn't do that. Loss of cultural relevance. Without black culture, America would feel dull, and right-wing culture would just fucking take over everything, and everybody would just all that shit would lose its steam. Everything. There would be a huge political vacuum. Trump's strongest political opponents often include black activists and leaders. He would have nothing. You motherfuckers wouldn't have anything if it weren't for your collective hate of black people. There would be no more police brutality excuses. Once they start beating white people's ass, they'd have to start putting these motherfuckers in jail. It's so crazy, man. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And let's not forget this one. America might no longer be a superpower. Look at that. The loss of black Americans would weaken the country enough that Trump's nationalist rhetoric would become meaningless. We don't care about that because our country is fucked now. All the black people left. Our country's bad. Now, I know you motherfuckers don't think so. But trust me when I tell you. Trust me when I fucking tell you. I'm trying as hard as I can to get this to happen. I want this shit to happen. Now, I don't want it to happen to fuck white people. That's not. I want it to happen so that people can see that black people are important. That black people fucking matter. And that without black people, you're fucked. The world is fucked. And as hard as they try, as hard as they want to get rid of us, push us off this rock, I know in all of them, I know if these motherfuckers could get us to float out in space, they would. But the problem with that is that Earth would just be shitty. More shitty than it already is. So, my case for returning to Africa. Black Americans taking their skills, wealth, and knowledge to Africa could be revolutionary. It could accelerate Africa's rise as an economic and cultural superpower. It would allow black people to live without constant burden of systemic racism and white supremacy. Black Americans could finally build generational wealth without interference. Africa could be a safe haven, a place for true self-determination. But there's a case for also staying in America. What's the case for staying in America? Black Americans built this country, fought for their rights, have claim to its wealth and institutions. Leaving it could be seen as letting white supremacy win. Many black Americans feel disconnected from Africa, and cultural reintegration would not be simple. And that's the truth also, folks. There'd be some growing pains. But I know that we could get past it because at the end of the day, we all black people. We're all black people, and black people are based in love. You know what I'm saying? The fight for justice in America isn't just for black people. It's a fight for a more just world, and the influence of black Americans have on global culture, politics, and business is unmatched, and leaving could diminish that power. Now, some people agree with that. Some people disagree with that. I'm on the fence. Now, here's the third option. Now, instead of all or nothing, a movement could be built where black Americans strengthen ties with Africa while leveraging their influence here in America. That means investing in African economies, businesses, and land, creating global black economy network that circulates wealth within the diaspora, developing dual citizenship and mobility between Africa and the U.S., which I am actively working on that, and I'll tell you about that in a second. Using African nations as political leverage. If black Americans have an escape plan, their political power in the U.S. increases. At the end of the day, the real goal should be power, self-sufficiency, and freedom. Whatever black people choose to build it, wherever black people choose to build it, whether if it's in America or in Africa, or a combination of both, the key is to control over your own destiny, not being at the mercy of any system that does not serve us. All right? You get that? But like I said, I recently took the African ancestry test to find out exactly where in Africa my people came from, because I want to know that. I need to know that. And I did the Patriclan test first, which was the test for my dad. But I'm going to do the test for my mom as well. So as soon as I find that out, that you can best believe I will be trying to apply for citizenship in that country. And once I gain my citizenship to that country, whatever country it may be, you can best believe that I will be going hard for that motherfucker. I'll go hard in the paint for that motherfucker. Feel me? So that's what would happen if black people decided that we were going to leave. If we decided that all 42 million of us were going to leave here, it would fuck this place. America would be fucked if just black people left. Wouldn't it? Be crazy. But I got an even better question for you folks. What would happen if not only black people left, but all the Latins as well at the same time? What if all the black people and the Latin people in America left at the same time? Now, that's a subject for another podcast. And unfortunately, that is going to have to be a different podcast. But it might be the next podcast. So stay tuned, folks, because that's a pretty interesting one as well. And I want to go ahead and thank everybody for tuning in to this episode of the Deron Harris Podcast. And hopefully this was informative for you. And one of the things that I wanted to say to all the black people out there that are listening, you should do what I just did, which was take the African ancestry. And it changes something. It makes me feel like our story did not start here. Even though I know it didn't. I was born here. But that's not where my story started. You know, they go back about 2,000 years. They go back a couple thousand years to find out, I think 2,000 or 5,000, something like that. 1,000 years to find out about you. And I think that all black Americans owe it to themselves. You owe it to yourself to find out where your actual roots are. And it's that simple. All right, so if you're listening to my voice, consider it, y'all. I think it would change a lot here in this country for us. I think it would change a lot for us just to know what part of Africa we were brought from. Where did I come from? Now, like I said, I'm going to take my mother's test to find out where she's from after I get the results from my father's test. But even those two countries, you know, or the one country, those two countries, or the few countries. It could be a few countries. But we're going to find out. And when I do, I will let you know. I will let everyone here know. I will come back on with a podcast and let everybody know what the results of my test was. So that maybe you guys might get inspired to do the same thing. So I think that is going to do it for this week's episode of the Deron Harris Podcast. I really do appreciate everybody who listens to me, even the white folks. Even let me say this to all the white people out there that listen to me. I thank you. Because that means that there was an adjustment someplace. You made an adjustment to be able to listen to things about our society and our culture from a perspective that is not your own. And that means you take it somewhat seriously. You know, and I appreciate that. So I know, and I do realize that I may say some things that may offend some people. And I'm not going to apologize because I am very unapologetic about how I feel. But what I will do is invite you to understand why I feel this way. And then what I will invite you also to do is try and figure out a way that you can make that change. Because it's not for us to change. It's for you to change. All right? I want to thank my parents for giving me this mouthpiece. As I do every week, I want to thank my biggest fan, Deron Harris, which is my wife. I want to thank my producer and best friend, Mr. Blonde-haired and blue-eyed Jesse Yandel, for producing my podcast and helping me with it week after week. For this, I believe, is the 150th episode. Wow. I would like to thank Gentry Thomas for the platform on the podcast playground that I use to get my message out to everyone. I want to thank last but not least, everybody who is listening. And I hope that, I'm giving you some better content. I hope that I'm giving you something that you can use, something that you can think about, something that you can talk about around the water cooler every week, something that you can share with your friends and say, hey, listen, maybe we can make a plan, or maybe we can join this movement. Something to give you a little bit of hope, a little bit of empowerment, something that gives you a little bit of stability, something that makes you hold your chest out a little bit further, hold your head up a little bit higher. I want to be able to give you that. So again, if you're listening to my podcast, man, I thank you, because that means that something I'm doing is working, and it's working for you. And as long as I can, I'll try and provide you guys with the best content that I can. So until next week, I'm Deron Harris, and this is my podcast. All right? Peace.
You've been listening to the Deron Harris Podcast. Subscribe to the show, give a good rating, and everything you need to know is at DaronHarris.com.